Next up, we'll have our audit committee report and recommendations. And I just to remind you that in the blue book, if you want to follow along, there's those committee summary of actions. So we'll turn the time over to the chair of the audit committee, Vice Chair Ellis.
Thank you.
You will be.
Thank you. We met as an audit committee and reviewed the school fees audit draft report, and after 9 months of work, we are recommending to the board, the committee recommends to the board that we release the school fees audit with the amendments that we discussed during our meeting to the public. The vote wasn't unanimous.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board release the school fees audit reports with amendments as discussed to the public. That was your motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's vote. Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Voting is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay.
We also discussed a school safety incidents reporting SB 198, and the committee recommends that the board prioritize the school safety incidents report audit specific to Utah State Board of Education, and the motion passed unanimously. So it's a motion for the board.
Okay. So we have a motion to the board that the committee, or that the board prioritize the school safety incident reporting audit specific to USBE. Any questions? Okay, will you turn your... Okay.
Understands this is our audit of our department, nobody else.
That is what is in the motion specific to USBE.
Okay.
Board Member Lear.
So not to be dense, but we don't have children in this building. We obviously have employees. What issues are we looking at? And I'm sorry if that sounds like a dense question, but what are you looking at? What things are going to be audited?
Vice Chair Ellis.
So some of the questions that we're considering are what is being done currently, what data is currently available, what systems are being used, how is data being reported to us, or that we are reporting out.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Elisa, so what data about what?
School safety and
School safety, but it just
so
specific to
so
USB.
maybe someone that could speak more articulately to this. So on SB 198 specifically, that bill. So we just want to look for any gap analysis, anything that we're doing that we could improve on.
If I might interject just a little bit, and Debbie Davis is here to speak to it also. USBE, we in our work session that I was unable to attend, we talked about school safety, and we talked a lot about what happens in the schools. But part of this audit is what's our present requirements, or what do we have in statute that on our end that what's our duty and responsibility at USBE, and are we doing it? And I believe it's
Right.
it's limited to us, and there'll be some discovery and some things that will happen from that. But we'll let she's got her mic on. Debbie Davis, you want to comment?
Now, Yes, so Debbie Davis, Director of Internal Audit. And so as well said by both Vice Chair Ellis and Chair Huntsman, it's really related to that Senate Bill 198. There's a list in that Senate bill of several things that will need to be reported on. And so the thought was, let's look at our current circumstance, again, the data, the systems, do kind of a gap analysis with what will be needed, again, at the state level, the USBE level, for that reporting. Since we do have a space of time before that report is due, it's, get a lay of the land, and the audit will provide, again, to inform policy and rulemaking. That's the intent of the audit at the state level. So it's really driven by those requirements within the Senate bill. Did that address the question?
Board Member Lear, do you have a follow-up? And I'll,
Yeah, and I get it. This sounds dense, I'm sorry, but I just want to understand, because Terrell seemed particularly concerned or specific, and you made a point of saying this is specific to USB. So what's your concern, Terrell, or why were you saying specific to USB?
Well, can I answer that?
okay, yeah, you got to turn, as yours is on, I've got to turn some of these off. Okay,
I'm concerned because I was under the impression it was more, what are the requirements that we have? So for example, there are so many fire drills that have to be done in a school. We need to look at, should we be having lockdown drills instead of fire drills at every time? Things like that. I'm looking at HB 198, and I'm not thinking that we need an audit because we haven't even got there yet. So when I look at internal USBE things, I'm thinking about the things that we're requiring schools to do. Are they updated? What are we requiring districts to do with regards to school safety, and should those be looked at? I won't support it if we're looking at school safety disciplinary actions, because we haven't even begun that. So I don't want to do an audit of that. At least that's going to be my position, but I was thinking it was something different, so.
hang
I just
hang on.
clarify.
Okay.
Sorry, so what I was reading was just part of our audit discussion. It wasn't the scope of the audit. The scope of the audit.
Hold on. I tried to clear one and I cleared you.
So I don't know if I need to repeat, I don't know when the mic cut off, but so when I was reading through some of those questions, some of that was just discussion in audit committee. That wasn't the scope of the audit itself. The scope of the audit itself is restricted to the things that Debbie mentioned that are what you mentioned, to look at where we are in preparation for the things that we have to do moving forward. Unless I'm misspeaking. Right, read the background.
The state board on HB or SB 198 is basically looking at law enforcement actions and disciplinary actions, and what SROs are doing, and it's working with school districts and law enforcement to compile an annual report. So my concern is what I was thinking we were auditing is completely different than what Debbie's saying the scope is. So I can't go forward on that, because she just talked about SB 198. Thanks.
Is your mic on? Okay, Debbie.
So maybe to clarify, so what's included in the background that was included in the memo, kind of the discussion in audit committee, it said specific items to consider include current data collection, retention, and reporting regulations, current availability of data, a gap analysis between current data and requirements and the items required in Senate Bill 198, compliance with the student data privacy and security regulations, and data trends and patterns. So it's much broader than just SB 198. It does incorporate the regulations that Member Warner talked about as well, kind of what is the current landscape, and helping us move forward so that we can continually improve.
Board Member Lear.
And it's taken me a while to be able to articulate what my concern is, but to me, this doesn't seem appropriate for an audit. This might seem appropriate for I don't know if investigation is the right word, but it's probably not. But I would like to know what the board rules say, what our requirements are under SB 198, if we could support legislation to further this end. But to me, an audit by auditors, and no disrespect, but these auditors are not specialists at all in in school safety or school climate, their auditors don't seem to be the right people to do that kind of a review. That's my concern, and I don't, maybe if I'm not understanding right, it just seems like I would rather have, I would prefer, let me say it this way, I would prefer that there be staff members who do this review who are more familiar with legislative requirements, school situations, if that's part of the audit, than auditors. Convince me.
Okay. Vice Chair Ellis, and then I've got some other board members that want to weigh in.
Well, I'd like to hear their concerns first, and then I'll.
Okay. Linda Hansen?
So I just want to, and Brittany and I were discussing this. So I sent a request to leadership to talk about the drills, to do the because when I'm out visiting schools and talking about safety, that's the one thing they're talking to me about, that they think that there needs to be more flexibility in the fire drills and all of those things. They want us to look at that and make sure it's not antiquated. And so I sent that request, and I guess that's what Brittany came over and talked to me about. I guess I just need to work with staff and then see if there's some policy changes that we want to make. So I'll be working with staff. So if any of the rest of you want to work on that, let me know.
Okay. Board Member Reeby?
As we talk about what's going on in our schools, we frequently tell them what they need. I would like to have the schools and the school districts and the superintendents identify the needs that they want, and then have us audit how we can do that. To create a situation where we're thinking about what's going on in our schools isn't really as effective as our schools identifying what they need and us helping them achieve that. So I'm kind of with Board Member Lear here, where we're like, what are we auditing? We're not even knowing that. Maybe we should include our schools and our districts and identify what they want. And each district is so different compared to what their needs might be. To say that each school has the same situation is not really effective. So for us to make some rules before we talk to our schools, or just to look at it, doesn't really seem as effective as maybe reaching out to them and seeing what their needs are.
I'm on the audit committee, and I just want to speak to this. Many of you and sit on different committees and different things, all about safety. It's all about safety now, and I think it's really important. There's been a lot of really healthy discussion, and I believe this fall there's going to be some legislatures, something's going to happen there. The purpose of this audit is to put USBE under a microscope, and our investigative group are auditors. And they go in there and say, what is under rule? What rules do we have? What policies do we have? And are we in compliance? And we shouldn't. And I'm wanting that information, so that as we work with other groups and everything, that we have that knowledge of where we're weak, or what we need to strengthen, or whether we're even compliant. I'm not even sure if every board member, and myself included, actually know what our role is in this safety and school safety. So this audit will satisfy my interest. Will bring information and whether or not we're in compliance, and propose betterments as we move forward. And of course we get ready for this other statute that's coming up, but at some time we have to inventory it, and we can reach out to staff and create, but I want to know if we're in compliance. I want to know what it is and whether we're in compliance, and limit it to USBE, and that was the dialogue in audit. It's all about getting quality, unbiased quality information from our auditors. So Vice Chair Brittany Cummins wanted to speak.
And I think sometimes I just want to say that when we start using the same vocabulary in two different places we conflate the conversation sometimes. And I think that's why we wanted to make the clarification, USBE only, that this is not trying to duplicate all of the other school safety conversations that taking place. This is very specific to school safety incidents reporting at USBE. And so it's that opportunity to investigate. We do this in every aspect. It's beneficial. We've seen the benefits of looking for and identifying risk. And so that's the intent of this audit. And it's not intended to look at the scope of school safety, in the context of our study session last month, or trying to solve individual LEA problems. This is very specific to incident reporting at USBE. And so I just wanted to make sure that we all understand that, when we say the word school safety, it opens up, boom, this whole conversation that's been going on over the last several months. So.
Chair Ellis.
Thank you. I echo these sentiments. I apologize if when I gave this brief that I misconstrued or made anyone feel that it was something other than what it is, because this is, in my opinion, a very beneficial gap analysis, and I think that the audit team is exactly who needs to be performing this, because it's an objective look at policy to see where we are and where we stack up. And I completely agree with Board Member Reby about not pushing down to the districts. I stand on that principle, and so that was not what this is intended to be at all.
Okay, any further? Yes. Board Member Reby.
So, as I have looked at our reports for school safety in the past prior to this heightened awareness, as I look at districts and the district that I work in, I don't think that all of us are using the same terminology, and we're not using the same language, and we don't have a definition that's equal across every district. So if we audit what we're doing at the state level, it's not accurate if we're not using common language at every LEA level. So our data and our information isn't very accurate unless we ask our superintendents and our LEAs to come up with common language. So when I look at the school district that I work in, I'm like, when I look at the reports for our state, I'm like, that is not accurate. And so when I reach out to my superintendents and I say, what's your definition of this? It might be very different from Alpine. So that's why I'm asking, if we're going to audit our state, we should look for common language from our districts so that we can have better information and we're all calling something the same thing, because an aggressive act in one district might not be an aggressive act in another district. That's my concern when we look at our audit internally.
Any further questions?
Chair.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Director Davis, after her comment, would you say that this gap analysis would help us identify where those deficiencies are with what Board Member Reby is concerned about?
So the audit can be, obviously, you would set the scope and objectives of the audit. So we can go look at whatever you would like us to look at. So I think there is some benefit to going and seeing in this building with the data that we have, what terms are being used, where do we need clarification, can the board help with that at all, given that, across the state, should there be common data fields? So yes, I think that could definitely be part of it, and it would be helpful.
Board Member Lear.
And again, having heard your comments, and I really appreciate everyone's explanation and trying to help me understand this as well as the rest of the board, but I guess I come back down to me this feels like a policy analysis, not an audit. And if that's part of the terminology that is misunderstood commonly, then maybe I could be convinced or enlightened. But my feeling is that it should be the many policy analysts we have in our office that should have this, that should do this review and sort out what statutes exist, what rules exist, what other things exist that would be helpful in addressing this problem. I feel like it's a policy analysis, not an audit, because I feel like those policy analysts would be more familiar with school settings and rules and policies than auditors will. So that's my concern. It's not that it shouldn't be done, it's that I feel like we've got many able policy analysts in our office that we never had 5 years ago. I feel like those people would be more appropriate to do this job. Maybe that is a question that could be addressed by the superintendent, or a concern. Would that be fair?
Well, you're asking,
I'm
so
sorry,
I'm
yeah,
sure she's
the
listening.
superintendent respond, or tell
Okay,
me her opinion?
Superintendent. I gotta have,
Just listening to the dialogue, I initially leaned over and said, I think this is an issue about terminology, and that this is more of an analysis rather than an audit. So that was my thinking as well. And I do believe that Director Davis and her staff are wicked smart and could do the work, but I also believe that this is very policy-driven, to really do a policy scan and then see how we're in compliance. So I would suggest it's maybe a two-tiered approach, that the first tier would be a policy analysis, and that could be done by our policy analysts on staff, and we have great policy analysts. And then bring that back perhaps then to audit committee, which is where the conversation started, to see then if Director Davis and her staff need to engage in further work that would be more audit appropriate. That's just an idea.
I like that approach better. Thank you.
yeah. Did you have anything else to add? Board Member Cannon?
Well, I've had the same concern, also thinking like, is this really appropriate for an audit? Would it be appropriate, would the chair entertain a motion to amend what's before the board, saying that we would recommend that the policy analysts at USBE move forward on giving us the policy ramifications that are incumbent in this idea, and then come back to the board, report to us, and see if at that point we feel it's necessary to move this to audit status.
Okay, well, there is already a motion that's on the floor
I was
right
trying to
now.
amend that motion to what I
And so it
said.
would be either adding to the motion or taken away from the motion. And the motion, let me just repeat the motion, is that the board prioritize the school safety incidents reporting audit. And so what
My
you're talking
amendment would
about.
be that the board send this issue to the policy analysts at USBE for their input, that they would report their input to the board, and at that point, the board would determine whether or not to proceed with an audit.
Okay. And so to get where you're at, I believe the best way to get there, Board Member Cannon, is to defeat this, because if we do that and it goes to the board, then you get a report, and then automatically the incident reporting audit starts. And I believe what you're wanting to do is you might not want to trigger that, or you might customize it. And I think it's really would be simple to just say we're not ready for the incident reporting audit, and defeat the motion that's before the board, and then you
Make a
can
new motion.
make a motion to do exactly what you wanted to do. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. So let me just go back to this motion. Get the light, yep. Chair Ellis?
I just am I'm just going to give my support for the motion as originally stated. I feel like our audit team is very capable of handling policy analysis, and they can work with our policy analysts without us having to make a specific motion to reach out and have them look at it. I just think that this would be a waste of taxpayer dollars to send it this direction and then have to go back this direction. I just feel like it adds time for people that are very capable of handling this. Both parties are capable of handling this, but I think that the motion as stands is what I would support.
Okay. Vice Chair Cummins, did you have a comment?
And I just want to speak in favor of the motion as well, that, we have an internal audit department, and that this is their main purpose, is for us to direct them to look at our systems and our policy. They're not just there to crunch numbers. They have the ability to look at policy and audit it so that we can receive the information back. And so I just want to speak in favor that we have this. They're independent of the other staff in our building, but they're ours. They're integrated. They work well with the policy analysts here in the building as well as the staff. And so I just want to speak in favor of the efficiency of the gift and the opportunity in internal audit and our ability to work with this team in order to do so. So
I just might add that when this passes, then the scope is, if it passes, then the scope is defined in audit committee, which absolutely includes everything that we're talking about. I'm very much in favor of including all of that dialogue with the policy analysis staff and that. So, well, let's put this motion back on the table again, that the board prioritize the school safety incidents reporting audit specific to USBE. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Well, the ayes raise their hand on this side. We have Board Member Lisa Cummins, Belknap, Stowe. Oh, Joel, sorry. There you go. That band kind of blended into your beard. So we have Board Member Wright. One more time. Board Member Cummins. Board Member Belknap, Board Member Stokes, Board Member Nielsen, Board Member Gravitt, Board Member Bolter, Board Member Ellis, Board Member Cummins. That's enough to get it through. Do you need the nays? Okay, motion passes. Anything else? Anything else from audit? No, that concludes our report. Thank you. Okay, thank you.